going on, everybody? Tommy here at TT Motorsports. Another beautiful day in Phoenix, Arizona. Got that Tacoma Prerunner Long Travel kit welded up last night. All the bushings, uniballs put in there. The wife got out to the shop earlier this morning. She's probably cleaning up my mess. Let's see what she's up to and see if we can get this kit on the Prerunner today. What are you doing? Alright, there's the kit. There's the victim. Today we're going to get all this inner fenders cut off, all the front suspension ripped off. Try to get these upper coilover mounts cut off because our kit uses just tabs on the frame. Get this thing all cleaned up so we can get this kit mocked up so we can start fitting the towers tomorrow or the next day.
We just cut off the inner fenders. Now we're going to be getting rid of this basic B-stock suspension to make room for our long travel kit.
Alright, so we just got the suspension off the front of the Prerunner here. Now we're going to cut all these towers off, clean up the frame, get it all ready for our A-arms to go in. So here's the factory coil, upper arm mount, all that. We're going to cut with the plasma right here on this bend. Then we'll chop this section out here so we can access the rear of it. Again, we'll leave this front face piece on for now, and then we'll score that with a cutoff wheel. If you try to hand plasma right along this weld, you end up gouging the frame and it requires a lot more welding cleanup later. The factory mounts here can stay on the frame. We just notch the upper arm tabs to fit around these. So we'll get these cut up and then I'll show you how I score it and use the air hammer to pop them off. Alright, so you can see that I got the frame pieces cut right along that roll. Now we're going to come in and score the welds with the cutoff wheel, and then we'll be able to just peel these right off, and then we'll just have a little spot to grind here and here. This back portion, I just grind it down until it's flush with the top of the motor mount. The towers land right on this side, so it doesn't really matter back there. We'll do the same here. This little portion I'll score across, down, across, and get that part cut out. So let's get on. Close up of how I cut it. See, I just scored right on the top of the weld there, down. Same with the cross. I'll just cut all the way across and then cut vertical and then cut across. You don't need to round that corner perfectly, because you can just hit it with a flap disc when you're done. So now we're gonna grab the air chisel and hammer these things off. Alright, sorry for that background noise, we got the fans going. But as you can see, just use the cutoff wheel, cut this part flush. I'll throw a weld back on this seam because that's where your motor mount and frame meet up. Now you can see we just have these little welds here all the way along to grind smooth. We only have a couple little nicks and chips so you won't even notice. And then we will hit this with the flap disc, get this nice cleaned up. We'll clean up the whole top of the frame rail as well as down the sides and these portions. Wherever we're gonna be welding our upper A-arm mounts and our tower on. Here's the frames clean. You know you got nice and clean when your floor looks like that. Dirty, alright. But I like to clean up the frame basically from the rear of this mount to the front of this mount. Gives you a nice clean area for the upper A-arm mounts to weld to in the towers. Before I finish doing the towers, I'll throw a bead here. I usually will do a little plate gusset or something to box these in because I have ripped these off of the frame. So now we'll get the lower arms in position. I have some cam eliminators that normally come with the kit. I'm gonna use those for mocking up everything. And then once we pull everything off to final weld is when I will do those weld washers, chop the frame, all of that stuff. So let's get the A-arms on, the spindle on the A-arms, and then I'll get the frame all leveled and explain everything, how to set the upper arms where they need to go. Alright, so we just got the A-arm, spindle, everything on the frame. These are the upper control arm tabs. As you can see, they have a notch. 1, 2, 3, or 4 notches. The front most tab has 1 notch. The last tab has 4. So you just line them up there. These are just some spacers I made just to make it so the tabs have a little bit of a slip fit after you weld. And here's a piece of all thread I'm going to use, 5/8. You just use this to make sure the upper A-arms, everything's all lined up nice and straight. You don't have any of the tabs crooked, otherwise our towers won't fit together properly. Guys, back over on the truck, we're gonna put these upper arms mounts on, get everything in position so then we could trim these. Once we get those trimmed into our rough position, I'll show you guys how to set the upper A-arm position on the frame. Alright, so we just got the upper tabs here, just use that piece of all thread. Now we're going to use our digital angle finder, zero it off the bottom of the frame, and then we're going to stick it on the back of the spindle here and set it at 90 degrees. That will get our upper A-arm placement. Once we set that to 90, then we'll be able to have these in relation to where they're gonna land on the frame, so then we could notch these to get no gaps. They're a nice tight fit. Alright, Alright, so we got that set pretty close to 90. We'll have to fine tune it once we get these notched. Now we're going to come through, mark these. This one's good. This one back here, you can see that gap. So now we need to trim this portion off, so then it'll let this come tight against the frame, and then that'll be a nice tight fit for us so we can weld around there. Alright, got the spindle at 90, upper arm tabs all trimmed up. A good reference is this rear tab, goes right here against that roll. So now everything's in place, we'll get it all tacked up, and then on to the other side. Alright guys, so as you see, we got everything all tacked to position on this side. What you want to do is not tack between the upper A-arm tabs here in the middle, because that's where our towers are going to fit together. So everything checked out good. We got good camber, 89.1 I believe it was. Everything's nice and square here. So we'll get these tacked up a little bit better. We'll pull this all thread, and next time we'll be throwing the towers on the truck, getting the lower control arm mounts, cycling the suspension, doing some firewall modifications if needed. So thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe if you guys aren't already, so you'll get notification when we do our next video. And thanks for watching.